but he's up against the very best in the business, a former UK champion, a former Masters champion. Ladies and gentlemen from Leicester, please welcome the reigning world champion, Mark Selby!
Versus a legendary world champion of yesteryear. A legendary champion with a self-deprecating sense of humour, as he showed in choosing his walk-on music. Remember the spitting image puppet, Steve Interesting Davis? He loved that as well. Above all, made sure that he didn't go careering into the reds.
Yeah, he brings a bit of hilarity wherever he goes these days, doesn't he, Steve Davis? But down to the serious business.
And although Davis is retired from the tour, Selby certainly won't be taking him lightly. Good solid long pot. Not the kindest of cannons though on the red and black.
Yeah, he did say in his interview, Clive, didn't he, that he was going to try and be a little bit more, maybe adventurous, a little bit more aggressive, and it's shown just with that long red there. He's just knocked in beautifully. He had a pretty simple safety that he could have played, so he stated his intentions.
Steve Davis, what?
Right from the off here.
Selby has had a mixed beginning to the season. He won the European Tour event in Riga, Latvia, but he's had a couple of surprising losses in the International Championship qualifying. He was 4-0 up on 19-year-old Oliver Lines and lost 6-4, although young Lines is a very good player, great prospect.
Yeah, he also mentioned in that little interview again by Stevie, I think the key for him in many ways, Clive, isn't it, is just to go out there and try and enjoy it. You know, obviously he's up against Mark Selby, the current world champion, but if he does enjoy it, then I think that's half the battle. He's going to have to relax into it out there when the chances come along.
And that is Mark Selby's wife, Vicky, who is due to deliver their first child in 2 weeks' time.
Probably worth potting this, having a go at the pot in the Right middle here, got a good cue ball. Tough shot that was, but as I say, safety in mind.
The past and the present in terms of world champions. Nice to see parties from local schools at the snooker.
1.
Yeah, so that rather botched shot to nothing from Steve has given Mark first opportunity, but this black he'll have to give us full attention. These can be missed.
Eight.
It's another little tricky red, this, in the right middle. See, this is more difficult than the black he just potted. If he misses it, he'd be leaving plenty. Yeah, well played.
9.
Now, I think, decent frame winning chance.
Forty. 50.
Last May, on the May bank
20.
holiday in fact, Mark Selby came from behind to beat Ronnie O'Sullivan 18-14 for the world title.
Thanks. 21.
I've already told you about Selby's first round loss in China's International
28.
Championship to Oliver Lyons, but he also lost in the semi-finals of the Shanghai Masters from 5-2 in front, lost 6-5 to Mark Allen. But it's a long season
29.
and you're bound to have ups and downs.
Yeah, he just can't hold for the blue this time, so coming down for black, just wants a nice angle on it.
34.
May have to disturb a couple of reds. Just came a bit lower than intended. So it will be some sort of cannon. Could go wrong. Yeah, but he'll settle for that. Red to left centre. You feel if that goes in,
41.
it'll be first frame on the board for Mark Selby. feels he's had a big bounce. Ooh, that took off the left side cushion there.
47.
Yes, big bounces. A comparatively recent problem in snooker over the last few years. But that really flew. I can't help thinking that there must be some difference in the manufacture of the cushions these days for that to happen. Never used to.
Mark Selby, 47.
It's a good point, Clive. I think when you go back and you think back in time to the 80s and probably through most of the 90s, it was very uncommon, wasn't it? These big bounces, but they do happen on a regular basis. Whether it's the manufacturing of the table, we're not too sure, to be honest. Maybe it's just such a fine cloth that we use these days. Maybe that just accentuates the bounce, who knows? But it certainly did for Mark Davis on that occasion. So Steve, somewhat of a reprieve and stays in this first frame.
Foul on the miss. Mark Selby, 4.
Yeah, miss had to be called. Could see a couple of reds full ball. So don't expect him to be short this time. Of course, the worst thing he can do here is be too much pace in the white. So in fact, he's babied this one as well, just a touch. That'll go back as well.
Foul on the miss. Mark Selby, 4.
Yes, and because he's got access full ball to a red, he's got to be careful about the 3 misses and out rule. 3 consecutive misses from an unsnookered position is frame forfeit. And actually, under that rule,
Okay.
Davis was the first player to incur that forfeit. It was against Ken Doherty in the Irish Masters. Well, I bet he's not short this time.
Yeah, that one you were talking about against Ken Doherty, Clive, am I right in thinking it was 4 each at the time? Was it at the siding frame?
Yeah, it was.
One of the weirdest handshakes at the end of a match you've ever seen, wasn't it?
I don't actually approve of the 3 misses and out rule. If you do miss 3 times consecutively from an unsnookered position, I think it would be much fairer if after the 3rd miss the non-offender had the option of ball in hand, place it anywhere he likes. I don't like the idea of a frame being won with a player sitting in his chair.
Yeah, that's not a bad option, Clive. I must admit, it's not something that the players on the tour think about too much. When when you've had the warning after 2 misses, you come to accept you've just got to hit one. But that's not a bad suggestion, actually. Oh, that's first class from Steve Davis. Nice round of applause on top of the table from his opponent as well.
And this time he's got Selby in a modicum of difficulty.
Just looking if he can leave the cue ball somewhere around the green pocket, will it be safe? That obviously doesn't fancy that. Just doesn't want a red to come back down the table here and playing this. There it comes. Now, has he done any damage?
Well, not really. If the red behind the black was straight to the right corner, that would be different, but that pot would be tricky and dangerous.
Yeah, much too dangerous to attempt, Clive, isn't it? But what it does do is give him the upper hand in this safety exchange. let's not forget, Clive, it's been a while since Steve Davis has been in this kind of environment, isn't it? You just feel like all he needs is a good chance, you know, just to get in, maybe score 20, just 3 blacks or 3 blues, something like that, just to get his arm going, a little bit of confidence. As I say, he's not been in this kind of environment for quite some time.
Well, this is a very nice arena, and the only 2 matches that Davis has played this season have been on non-televised tables in Players' Championship Series events. He's played 2, lost 2.
That's clever again from Steve, just moving that red off the side cushion. Of course, the 54-point deficit is in his favour to get as many reds in the open as he can. Once again, Mark back to this black cushion, hoping to push a colour safe, I would think. Yeah, he's pushed the yellow. In a good position for him. He's left Steve a chance. A red may look quite straightforward on a screen, but he's not wasting any time either. So if this goes in, give him a decent chance.
Well, I think everyone here wants Steve to do well, even if he doesn't win.
Now this is a little tester. As I say, he's not been out there quite some time. These kind of
6.
mid-range straight reds. Just give him a bit of confidence if he can just, you know, knock this in cleanly.
Steve Davis 6.
Well, wasn't that difficult in the normal way of things, but this isn't quite the normal way of things.
It's when we talk about sharpness, Clive, isn't it? You know,
1.
the top players always seem to be sharp these days. They've got so many events to play in. That type of shot that Steve missed there in the red, the mid-distance, they never seem to miss those, do they? And you just can't afford to at this level. It's as simple as that.
Six. Seven.
Brown and 1 more red would be enough.
Eleven.
Things could have been a bit different if Davis had just had that little run of the ball when he potted a good long red at the start. But instead didn't make the cannon on the black and red quite right. Oh, well, that was frame ball.
Mark Selby 11.
Now, having said that, it's 4 reds, 4 blacks and the colours to tie. A tall order at the best of times.
Yeah, there's no real need for any panic for Mark Selby. The reds as they are, as you say, Clive, he needs 4 blacks to tie with his 4 remaining reds.
Good pot. But this requires an ultra thin cut.
Steve Davis 1. Frank conceded. Frank. Malta.
So, a couple of half chances Davis had, but otherwise Selby was in command. It's 1-0 to Selby.
I suppose actually technically.
I was thinking before this match started, Clive, we were speaking this morning to my colleague, our colleague Neil Folds. We were saying that Steve Davis, he really needs to win one of the first 2 frames, doesn't he? If you feel if he has to, to have any chance of winning this match, so this frame, huge importance for him.
Yes, by doing that he could put at least a little bit of doubt in his opponent's mind.
One.
Well, in the end could have done without that fluke. But he's not on a colour, and he hasn't got
Yellow ball.
a really straightforward safety down the other end.
Yeah, he just has to make sure and avoid the double kiss on the yellow, which he's done. Good cue ball.
Mark Selby 1.
Hit that all wrong.
Yeah, he was a bit fortunate when he got the double kiss on the attempted red, wasn't he? It's actually given him the upper hand now. The safety exchange. Expect this cue ball back in the ball cushion off this one. Chance to put Mark under some pressure. Once again though, just evidence that it's just a lack of sharpness from Steve Davis. The cue ball there, as I say, yeah, he's not happy with it, is he? In fact, he's looking whether Mark can just bend this. Well, I wouldn't have thought he'd fancy that one. But going back to the safety shot, you expect Steve Davis of old, the white would be within, well, half an inch of that back cushion. Wasting no time again. Having a go at the long, straightish red. How well's he going to hit this one?
Not that well.
One.
It seems to me, in a way, Clive, Steve Davis, that he seems to be caught in two minds of whether to attack too much or, you know, it's clear that he doesn't want to be too defensive, isn't it? You know, he wants to try and be aggressive, but you've got to temper that. You can't just go all guns blazing every time you have a look at, you know, a long ball. And he's had a couple of wild slashes. And he's just given Mark Selby easy starters.
Nine. Sixteen.
Heavy contact.
Seven.
It's going to make this black a bit tricky. Bridging over the red.
Well, there's a
Mark
collector's
Selby,
item.
70.
World champion Mrs. Black off the spot at point blank range.
Yeah, it was awkward queuing, wasn't it? You still expected him to get it, but like I said before, they can be tricky, those. The last thing he wanted to do was give Steve a decent chance, which, if this red goes in, which we can't see him missing this. Played it in a positive way, playing for a choice of pink or black.
One.
As I said in the first frame, he just needs a chance like this, doesn't he, Steve Davis? You know, just got to pot this black, finish nice on the red, get his arm going, knock a few easy balls in, just for confidence levels.
Eight.
A little bit lower than he would have preferred.
Nine.
Couldn't hold black ball position from there, but stun for blue was easy enough.
Yeah, that was better, wasn't it? Finished the shot well, perfectly on the blue. Decent chance now.
40. $15. $22. 23. $30. 31.
dear, oh dear.
Steve Davis, 31.
Lost his concentration on that basic shot.
Yeah, you mentioned before, Clive, about a collector's item. Can guarantee you through the 80s and the 90s, you'd be lucky if you missed one of those in a decade, wouldn't he? It just shows you again his lack of sharpness. Simple as that.
Well, to be realistic about it, Davis wouldn't have been relegated from the tour
8.
if he'd been playing great still.
9.
But he is 57 years of age, and your best standard doesn't last forever.
$15. 16.
Yeah, this black, providing it goes in, put 10 points in front, so he's going to need all 3 reds to win the frame, this visit. And that's a poor one, that really is. He's about a foot short of pace there. He really should have been playing for a choice of 3 reds.
23.
And the red doesn't pass the blue to far corner, so a little blind one into the left middle. This can be missed. Still a bit of hope here for Steve Davis.
Mark Selby, 23.
Fortunately for Selby, the red that he attempted has run safe, but this other one is a possibility.
Yeah, a little sigh tells us he's not in the yellow.
Brown
Of
ball.
course, he's obviously got second prize.
Steve Davis, 1.
This will be quite interesting, just watching Brendan Moore here. Now, under normal circumstances, a player in this position would have to hit a red. If you don't hit one, it's going to get called a miss. And this isn't easy. Yeah, good hit though. Hasn't done any damage. Well, the red's on. Maybe bridging over the pink, a little bit awkward. No, he's okay.
And played the cannon beautifully to develop the other red.
Yeah, beautiful black there.
8.
Missable at the best of times those. Now this is a huge shot. If he pots this, you expect him to win the frame. Well played.
9.
Just a little winds. He's finished just a little bit straight for comfort on the green. Not sure if he can squeeze a little bit of angle out of it. I don't think so. It looks pretty straight, doesn't it? Oh, it's going to be a tricky yellow to left middle. If it goes in, expect one each.
12.
All remaining colours on their spots. should be straightforward.
$70. $21.
This is frame ball. First objective secured. The dreaded whitewash has been avoided. It's 1-all.
Yeah, just back into where the Mark Selby to break.
So we resume at 1-all. First frame to Selby, second frame to Davis. Clinched with a 32 break at the end. Well, that's what he thought of that. In his latter years, Davis has had a tendency, when he's potting to his right, to hit the object ball too full. Equally, when he's potting to his left, if he's going to miss it, the chances are that he's going to overcut it.
Yeah, what he will do now, Steve Davis, will feel a lot better about himself getting a frame on the board. Never really feel, and that counts for any player, you never feel you're in a match. So you've got that first frame on the board, which of course he has. And for all the kidding and joking with Steve Davis coming in, and the funny intro music and all the rest, don't be fooled. He's a competitive guy, a proud guy, and the old competitive instinct will kick in. That is for sure. Yeah, he showed that with that little clearance, last couple of red clearance in the first frame, didn't he? And look at this safety.
Well, he wasn't intending to leave the cue ball there, he was intending to play to the baulk cushion, but in contrast to the first couple of frames, he's had a favourable run of the ball there.
Foul on this. Steve Davis ball. Get him off.
Just queuing at this little bit of left hand side, trying to drift in behind the green. What an effort this is. Brilliant shot.
When Davis won the World Seniors Championship last season, you could see he'd really come to win it in its two previous stagings. Jimmy White had won it, Darren Morgan, former world number 8 from Wales, he'd won it, and Davis thought it was about time he should win it, and he brought his best application and some of his best form to the party at Portsmouth, made a century break, beat Nigel Bond in the final. Well, three-ball plant, well picked out.
Oh, that's a brilliant shot in the brown. Deserves to finish nice in a red off that. That was very missable. Little cannon in the pink won't do him any harm. Nicely in the red to left middle. Just little signs that he's starting to feel comfortable in the surroundings out there.
Not a great shot by any means, but at least he's finished straightish on the blue to the baulk pocket.
Yellow. 12.
I don't think Davis would have known quite what to expect of himself today, but I think he might be thinking now, well, I'm not doing too bad.
It's a good point, Clive. Yeah, for one, I would never ever discount this man. Another good positive shot. How's his luck? Well, it's awful.
12. Steve Davis, 12. Mark Selby, 5.
Yeah, very unlucky.
First glance he looked to have gotten away with it, didn't he? But looks to be a plant into the same pocket as Steve knocked one in just a minute or so ago.
One.
So Davis's unlucky foul could make a lot of difference.
Three. Four.
That was clever, wasn't it?
10.
Just holding the pink spot. The cue ball.
11.
It's not the best shot he's ever played. Just about 18 inches short of pace on the
18.
cue ball there. May have to play some sort of cannon on the black. Not sure if he can stun the white through the gap. Just coming round to have a look.
Nicely judged positional cannon.
$25. 26. 32. 33. 40. 41. 47. 48. 54.
Frame ball, barring snookers.
55.
Davis was very unlucky. Unforeseeably knocked the ball in to give Selby
61.
this opportunity.
62. 68. 12, Selby. 68.
So with that break of 68,
And the break.
Mark Selby recaptures the lead at 2-1.
Thank you. Fourth frame. Steve Davies to break.
Steve Davis, 6 times world and UK champion in the 80s. Trails Mark Selby, the reigning world champion, by 2 frames to 1. didn't make that thin edge quite as thin as he wanted to. That took some speed off the cue ball.
Yeah, they're never easy, those thin safeties. As you say, Clive just got it a fraction thick. If anything, it just caught a piece of the jaw of the corner pocket. Full ball can in the blue gives Mark a half chance. Yeah, just about on the pink. Just potted it in the wrong side of the pocket to hold the cue ball, but I think he can just get through to the pink. Pink going on the blue spot wouldn't do him any harm either. Beg your pardon, the black spot's available.
7. Eight.
Yeah, didn't quite get a hold of that one. He's going to play the blue here. He's going to do well to find a gap in and out of baulk. Probably looking at coming through the gap off 2 cushions between green and brown, but if he can reach the brown, maybe that's a better option. Deciding on blue though. Well, in fact, he's playing it as a screw shot, just off the baulk cushion, a bit of right hand side.
$30.
Oh, that's the best shot he's
40.
played today. Not a huge applause for it, but that was struck beautifully. One of the best in the game at that type of shot. But it's Mark Selby's turn to be maybe a wee bit unfortunate going into the red. Still has one to right middle, looks like. And a pretty clear path up to the blue or baulk colour. Not sure if he can hold the white here with a little soft screw shot. He may elect to play a little cannon. The 3 reds that left the picture, that wouldn't be a bad cannon to play. As I say, I just don't know if he can hold the white. He's played the cannon, but it's gone wrong. Yeah, he
25.
found the gap, Clive, didn't he? I think he was trying to screw into those 3 reds, just to use them as a buffer.
Mark Selby, 25.
Position lost. Had to content himself with the safety.
Once again on the thick side, and he looks like he's going to pay the price this time. Not dissimilar to what you were saying earlier, Clive, when he's playing a shot cutting a red to the right hand side. You were saying he usually caught those thick, were you?
1.
Yeah, potting to his left, he hits them thick. Potting to his right, he tends to overcut. Must be coming across the ball slightly. He first discovered that problem in the 90s. I had a late night conversation with him about it in the Hong Kong Hilton.
7.
Just as well it wasn't the Bangkok Hilton, wasn't it? Then that would have been trouble.
Twelve. 13.
Yeah, it's just starting to look ominous now. This match, Mark Selby just really is getting a grip of things.
There's Vicky,
18.
Mark Selby's wife. She played pool for Ireland, but now of course preoccupied with the imminent birth of her firstborn.
19.
Yeah, now straight's no good here for Mark. Just going to try and just nudge the black here, I feel. Yeah, good shot. The pink going on its on spot this time will help him.
25.
Lead stretches to 50. Still going to need 3 reds.
26. 32.
Well, not the most inviting of pots, and even less inviting for position.
Mark Selby, 32.
So that's why he turned down the bottom red of the 3, which was the one he wanted to be on.
Yeah, I don't think Steve's looking at the plant for his own shot. I think he's worried about what he's going to leave for Mark Selby. But certainly not a dead straight plant. For one, I wouldn't mind leaving my opponent that one, I don't think, but obviously he's behind the cue. He can see it a lot better than we can. There you see it in the picture.
Yes, the top red would have to strike the bottom red not far off half ball.
Oh, this does surprise me. And the pot's difficult enough. Where position's going to come from, I'm not sure. Yeah, and he's left a sitter. That was a shocker, wasn't it, Clive? You just couldn't see him potting that, could you?
No, maybe he thought though, nil 57, that was just a chance to transform the whole frame.
1.
Yeah, it's a good point, mind you. I mean, you know, sometimes you're 57 behind 5 or 6 reds, you get into a little safety battle. At the end of the day, all Mark Selby needs is a shot to nothing. He pots it and you've won the frame, so sometimes you just feel like you want to give yourself some sort of chance, don't you? But gone south on this occasion. Should be the end of frame, just red colour. Sorry, just this red, which obviously isn't going to be missed, so it's looking for all the world like the great man's going to be 3-1 down to the current world champion. match you mentioned earlier, Clive, he did lose a big lead, didn't he, Mark Selby, to young Oliver Lines from Leeds, who's a great prospect that we have on tour. He was 4-0 up, wasn't he?
4-0 up,
30.
lost 6-4. It's usually Selby himself
40.
who's handing out that kind of treatment. He's famed for winning matches from well behind. He's done it to Ronnie O'Sullivan, well, twice in Masters finals, once in the
20.
Welsh Open final, and of course came from well behind in the World Championship final last spring.
21.
I think in general the hallmark of Selby's game is consistency.
27.
He doesn't miss many shots that are within his normal range of ability.
Yeah, I totally agree with that.
28.
Clive. He doesn't, not the most spectacular of players, but well, you don't have to be when you're that good, do you? You know, he's a bit like machine-like, not quite like the Stephen Hendry.
33.
Stephen Hendry of old, but he was like that. He never seemed to miss much when he got in close.
34.
As you say, Mark's very consistent.
Yeah, I think one of the secrets of his success is that he really loves the game. Loves playing, loves practicing.
39.
Has never wanted to be anything other than a snooker player.
41. 44.
Yeah, I've always said that there's a kind of difference in some players, amateurs, and some players want to be snooker players and some players would just like to be. Mark Selby wants to be a snooker player. That's the difference, isn't it?
Yes.
48.
Daydream ambition is one thing. You've got to make it happen.
Mark Selby, 48. Find the trade.
Mark Selby concludes that frame with a break of 48 and increases his lead to 3-1, which is 2 up with 3 to play. Steve Davis's defence of the World Seniors title falls due in January at Blackpool Tower Circus, but it's certainly not been made any easier for him by a lowering of the age limit. Last year and the 2 previous years it was 45 and over, now it's 40 and over. Needed a helpful run of the ball there, but hasn't had it, unless black goes to right middle.
Yeah, it does go. You would expect him to finish nicely in a red, so expect him to get this actually. It's just off straight. Well played.
Eight.
A nice little cannon, or just drift past the other red.
9.
Turned into a decent little chance. Yeah, that wasn't a bad
16.
shot. That was the red before it. He just overran it by about 2 or 3 inches. Left himself a low black, difficult to control. Still has this tricky little cut back. Just a little soft screw off 2 cushions. Yeah, made a better job of the cannon this time. Would like to be on this red. Of course he has the one to right middle if he's not on it. The thing not to do here is try to convince himself too much if he's on it. Sometimes you've got, yeah. If he's going to have to put any sort of side in this at all, it'd be better playing the one in the middle. Just take your medicine, Steve.
$25.
When great players get into the latter days of their career, you wonder how many more great days they're going to have. And from Davis's point of view, I think his last great day was beating John Higgins in 2010 at the Crucible, when Higgins was defending
28.
champion. And after that he went on to reach the quarterfinals.
29.
And he was 53 then.
Yeah, he's back in good position now, Steve Davis.
34.
Just maybe not sure whether the black pot's in the same pocket, so he's forced into taking this other red. Just has, again, going up for blue, just has to make sure he gets top side.
35.
Yellow's a good second. You'd expect him to drop in a red off the yellow. Just depends which way he wants to play it. Could play a deep screw for the one near the back cushion. That's what he's just glanced at there. That's the safer shot to play. It's whichever one he prefers. Don't think he is though. I think he's playing for this red to left corner. No, I was right the first time. My apologies. As I say, that was the better shot. And he couldn't have played it better. Now back in prime position.
37. $38.
Of course, he's at the point of no return, Clive, isn't he? 3-1 down, but what will be in his mind possibly is that he's played in a lot of PTC events the last few years of Steve Davis, and so many matches in those have been won from 3-0, 3-1 down. Not beyond the realms that he can still
45.
win this match.
46.
Well, Selby certainly won't be taking anything for granted. kindest of splits.
53.
Yeah, he's probably weighing up. Is it worth playing some kind of double to nothing? I don't even think he could play it as a shot to nothing, so what he will be doing is trying to find some way of pushing something safe. One of the reds. I'm not quite sure whether that shot's on. He could drift off the red that's nearest to pink into baulk, but I don't think he can quite keep it close to the side cushion and playing it. Yeah, very clever.
53.
Good shot. Most important to get the red safe. Good cue ball also. Big favourite for the frame.
Made sure he got the red past the middle pocket. But this is a shot to nothing for Davis.
Yeah, I think now we'll see Mark Selby lift this red off the side cushion. Won't be having a go at the long ones, not even looked at it.
Very good.
Oh, that's top drawer. Really is.
1.
Very tough cue in that. Right in the heart of the pocket. I'm not sure if that red next to the green will pass. He just had a quick glance at it. If it does, it obviously helps him.
Six. 7.
No, this won't be the big shot. He'll be playing just for the loose red through the gap between blue and red. It's the next shot that's going to be big. Can he get a nice angle on a colour, pink or blue, to just disturb those,
10.
that little cluster of 4 reds. He's actually been a little bit unlucky there, I think. I think he's landed arrow straight in this red. He's thinking maybe even having to come back for the black. Yeah, that's what he looks like doing. So as I say, imperative he gets some sort of angle on the black.
11. 18.
Yeah, both of these are tough, just whichever one he fancies. I would play this one as well. It just clears everything up. The pot's all important here. You'd expect him to be on a colour should he knock it in. Yeah, beautiful pot. He's just
90.
about on the blue, holds his hand up.
Yes, a helpful nudge at the last. Davis may have played his last shot, but Selby still has quite a bit to do to win this frame from behind.
Oh, he's had a big bounce again.
25.
Just look at him scratching his head there. Still on the blue. But that's just the second time today he's had a big bounce.
Well, that's overrun by more than a couple of feet.
Not a good recovery. And the pink could be key ball here. Obviously Mark's going to need it. He's going to win the frame in one hit here. 23 behind. You'd think 2 red blacks, 7 behind going to yellow, so it would be just the pink required.
31.
We've seen some glimpses
38.
of the class which made Davis king of the 80s, but perhaps not enough.
Yeah, I think he was just checking the scoreboard, Mark. It makes sense here to come back for blue. It makes no material difference points wise to the frame. Still going to need the pink.
39. .44. 46. 49.
Brown, blue, pink needed.
Yeah, that was a bad shot, wasn't it? Just didn't really strike that properly. Just a bit straight for comfort in the brown. He's good at this type of shot, as we've seen earlier, with the red into bag 1. There's another example.
53.
But didn't quite get the desired side, so it's going to be a long blue. Doesn't have much to do with the cue ball. Looks a natural angle to drop in behind the pink, so this could be match ball.
Well,
58.
that wiped its feet. Played it in such a way that he gave himself a chance of covering the blue if it didn't drop in, but this is for the match.
54.
Davis was first in that frame with a break of 53 as he threatened to extend the match. But Selby cleared up to the pink with 64, and so the reigning world champion goes through by 4 frames to 1.
Well, there's a reason he's the world champion, isn't there? But a great performance there also from Steve Davis. We will take a closer look at that match after the break.